family, his son Yaakov, his son Anatoly, both from Baltimore with very nice families, and of course his wife Lucy, who has graced our congregation immeasurably during the years they've been here. Well, it's nice having the whole family here on this occasion. I've had the opportunity to speak to this congregation from time to time on Shabbos morning, and I've often raised the Kaddish. Kaddish is described as a prayer for the dead. There's nothing really in the Kaddish that says anything about the deceased. It is provided to give the relatives of the departed a chance to engage the congregation in the response, Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam U'Me'el Mayal. May God's name be praised forever and ever. And we're taught that by creating an audience response, Yehi Shmei Rabba, the soul of the departed are raised in the Art School Synod says by enormous cosmic effect to Hashem, and it creates praise for the deceased. In order for Kaddish to work, it requires an audience participation. The audience does not respond, and the prayer itself has really not had the desired effect. The same in regard to the installation of a rabbi. For a rabbi to be successful, there has to be audience participation. For a rabbi to be successful, there has to be congregational effect. And I think what we're doing here today is installing not just a rabbi for this congregation, who fortunately has been with us for the last year, but we're also installing the congregation. We're also reaffirming the pledge of this congregation to Rabbi Langer, so that if we succeed, he succeeds, and if he succeeds, we succeed. In schools all over the country this week, classes beginning, new semester, whether it's for kindergarten or for graduate school, and the schools are led by teachers. And if a teacher were to walk into a classroom, there's no students there would not be much for the teacher to teach. What is a rabbi? A rabbi, essentially, we ask someone what a rabbi is, and get a lot of answers, officiating at ceremonies and the like. But above all, a rabbi is a teacher. We refer to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe our teacher. The rabbi, at the top of the list of all his qualifications is that he is a teacher to the congregation, which has invited him to lead. So that in order for Rabbi Langer to be successful in Shomer Israel, we have to have a congregation. And we're pleased to have a congregation, and hopefully his participation here will lead us. So this is not just an installation ceremony for Rabbi Langer. Essentially, it's also a pledge on our parts, on the parts of this congregation, and those who are here today who have not yet joined, welcome to join us, to be your congregation, so that you can teach us, so that as in the school year, at the end of the year, at the end of the semester, the students will feel they've learned something. We can feel at the end of this year, in Yus Hashem, Tova, that we could also say that we've learned from Rabbi Langer, and that his participation with us this past year, this coming year, was to our benefit as well as to his, and we hope that we go from strength to strength under your rabbi.
Thank you, Jack. I'd like to take this opportunity to call Rabbi Baumzer, who will be speaking. Not accustomed as he is to public speaking, as I can see.
See, in this particular case, Rabbi Langer is getting even. When he came to our synagogue, a congregation of Abraham Jacob in Albany, I did exactly the same thing. And so I asked him to speak for a few minutes, in which he took an opportunity. I can tell you that I'm elated to join and celebrate together with you in Shomer Israel. At this particular moment, looking around, I owe a great deal to the Langer family. I made a comment earlier today to Yonina that in fact, Shalom, Dr. Sidney Langer, was my first roommate when I entered Ner Israel in 1964. Puts it into a context, because Rabbi Langer served a congregation, Sons of Abraham, before it became Beth Abraham Jacob, immediately after the passing of Rabbi Shmuel Blinder in 1973. Along those lines, before he went off into the beautiful community of San Diego, but then coming back via Eretz Yisrael. This morning I had the opportunity of meeting with someone who lives in Kami Shomron, and so Rabbi Berglasser became part of today's experience. And so it truly is an auspicious opportunity that I have of celebrating on behalf of the upstate rabbinical community your choice of an extraordinary and gifted and talented Rav. It cannot be without most auspicious moment of our calendar today, that the Kriyas HaTorah, the Torah reading of this coming Shabbat, which will carry with it a sense of admonition. According to our tradition, we were admonished to at least review our actions through the Torah's perspective, both prior to Shavuot and prior to Rosh Hashanah. But prior to challenging us with admonitions, the Torah gives us a set of 6 blessings. Provides us with an opportunity of knowing that if we follow in God's way, if we fulfill God's mandate, if we carry out the Torah and its mitzvah, if we are led. It's fascinating. Forgive me for not remembering the gentleman who just preceded me and his blessings. I was extraordinarily touched by the fact of the story that I was told this morning, because in fact there was a gathering of older members of Beth Abraham Jacob, which I had the opportunity of meeting and sending love from Albany, directly here to Poughkeepsie, families that Rabbi Langer and Lucy, you know, throughout your personal histories of having spent your years. But one of them made the interesting comment of saying the keys. They told the story that Rabbi Langer had told of a child who was waiting outside of a school as the school day was about to begin. And he was waiting and nothing was happening. And then a young lady came forward. He said, "What are you doing, young man? What are you doing, my dear child?" And he said, "I'm waiting to go in." And as she began to open up the doors, he began to say, "I know who you are. You must be a teacher because you have the keys." It takes an extraordinary leader to know how to touch, to open, to create an atmosphere of engagement, of love, of a sense of Eretz Yisrael. The dynamic, and this is a very difficult time for all of us. I'm sure each one of us has it in our hearts as we move closer to Rosh Hashanah. But suffice it to say, the challenge of your moment is to highlight, to celebrate, to install, but more importantly, to create a bond, in what we call a shutfus, a bond that is yours between rabbi and community. And so on behalf of the upstate rabbinic community, on behalf of love, that radiates and emanates from all of us to you as a community. Chazak v'yamatz. May this be a long-lasting experience and relationship. May the brachos that the Torah HaKadoshah gives us before the admonitions be fulfilled in everything that you do, Rabbi Eliezer Langer, and may you see the fruits of your labors in everything that you do. Abi Azbol Tzedek, Amen. Amen.
It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the installing officer, Rabbi Mark Dratch. He is the Executive Vice President of the Rabbinical Council of America, the world's largest organization of Orthodox rabbis. He served as congregational rabbi for 22 years, an instructor in Jewish thought at Yeshiva University, and was founder of JSAFE, Jewish Institute Supporting an Abuse-Free Environment, an organization dedicated to eliminating child abuse, domestic
very much. The rabbi got up into the pulpit and took his watch off and placed it in front of him. And one member in the pews turned to the other one and said, "What does that mean when the rabbi does that?" And the response was, "Absolutely nothing." Thank you very much for your introduction. Thank you very much for the kind invitation to join you here today. Speaking about the upstate rabbinate, I had the privilege of serving as a rabbi in Schenectady for a number of years, and bonding at that point with Rabbi Bomzer, when he was serving in Albany, and getting to know and love the communities of upstate that have seen their challenges, but that I know are made up of people with tremendous dedication and love and pride in the communities that they've established, in the synagogues that they've established, and work hard to continue those traditions despite some of the obstacles that they face. I'm very privileged and I'm very grateful to be here with the Langer family, and we go back a long time. We've never quite served in the same area, but our paths have crossed over time, and I've gotten to watch from a distance the contributions, the hard work, the dedication, the success that you have seen in the communities that you have served, and the love and appreciation of the members of those communities when you were there, and even after you've left those communities, those strong bonds that have continued, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about that a little bit. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Bess Kay, who is here, former Rebbitzin of the congregation, and to remember Rabbi Eric Kay, who was a member of the Rabbinical Council of America, and somebody whom we were proud and privileged to have in our ranks. I'd also like to congratulate you for this installation and for what it means that a community and a congregation invests itself, its belief, its efforts, the call for support that we heard just before, in its rabbi. Because the truth to tell, in the position that I serve in the Rabbinical Council of America, and my view of the rabbinate and of the Jewish community, this has not been a good year for rabbis, and it has not been a good era for rabbis either. Too many members of my organization and other rabbinic organizations have found their names in the headlines in ways that have been less than appropriate, ways that do not bring pride to the Jewish people or to the Torah that they teach. We have become a Jewish community, and I would say an American community as well, that rather than applauds our leaders and supports our leaders and encourages our leaders and follows our leaders, we've become a community that tries to undermine them, that belittles them, that undermines their efforts. Some leaders bring them on themselves, and I guess you just have to watch some of the debates and other things as they unfold in the newspapers these days, that not everybody who desires the mantle of leadership deserves that respect. But as a result, we are undermining who and what we are and who and what we can be. And I'd like to spend a few moments with you this afternoon to talk about that. What is a rabbi? What is the vision of what the rabbinate is supposed to be? And in a context, and we'll leave many of the details aside for now, but the Talmud and Tractate Tanit and Moed Katan discusses what the qualification of a rabbi is. And it quotes the verse from the prophet Malachi, Ki siftei kohen yishmeru dat, the lips of the kohen will guard and preserve wisdom. V'torah yivakshu mipihu, and the people will come and seek Torah, the teaching from his lips. Ki malach Hashem tzavakotu, because he is a malach of God. Malach generally is translated as an angel, And the Gemara then, the Yochanan, the Gemara concludes that if a